If you're building an app with AI tools or you just have an app idea, you might be wondering, how do I get my first customers for this app? Well, a really good way of doing that is through a waitlist landing page. And today I'm going to show you how you can create a waitlist landing page using AI in under 30 minutes that looks like it was professionally designed. If you don't know me, my name is Chris, and for the last 15 years I've been designing apps and advising startups on product and design, and I believe the next wave of incredible businesses are going to be built with these AI tools. So with that said, let's get straight into building the waitlist landing page.
Build great products. Build great products.
So let's build our simple waitlist landing page for our app idea with AI. I'm going to be using Lovable primarily for this, along with a couple of other tools. You can actually do this in different tools as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be in Lovable. I actually quite like using Webflow for creating simple waitlist landing pages, but you do have to know the tool a little bit. But using a separate form tool here with Lovable, you can quite easily set something up with just a free account. I'm going to be using Paperform for the forms to embed the waitlist form into the Lovable landing page, and you do get a lot of customization with Paperform as well, which I'll be able to show you. You can also, if you're using a Supabase database in your Lovable project, or you're using Replit and that has a database set up as well, you can actually just send the waitlist, create a basic form on the page and send the waitlist submissions into the Supabase database. But if you're just trying to gauge interest for your app idea before you actually build or launch anything, you might not have that already set up. So we're just going to create a very simple waitlist landing page today, use Paperform to embed the forms. I'm going to use some other tools here. I'm going to use ChatGPT's image to create some images for it. I'm going to use Artboard Studio to create an app mockup. And then we're going to pull something together that is going to look so much better than 90% of the other waitlist kind of templated pages that you see out there. And so where I wanted to start with inspiration for this was something that I saw over on Frameblocks, which is this very basic kind of landing page, but it looks super nice. It's really professional. It's really clean. It's really slick. If you saw this landing page with a mock-up of the app on, you would be more likely to sign up to the waitlist just because it feels like something that is a real product. And I think what we want to try and get to with AI that kind of goes beyond those templated waitlist form creators is something that's elevated kind of above 90% of the other waitlists that you kind of see out there. It's just going to help that conversion for people to sign up. But of course, like, you just want to start with something. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look amazing. I just want to show you today how you can create something amazing just using Lovable and a few other tools. So let's get into the process for Lovable. So where I've started with this is I wanted to create the assets for the page first. So how do you create the UI that is going to display on the screen here for your app mockup? Well, what I've done here and what you can do is just simply to build a prototype version of one app screen. You might not know exactly how it's going to work, but you roughly will know the sort of features that you're including just from having gone through that validation exercise. If you're following my kind of 4-step framework to building an app idea that's actually going to make a profit and get customers and be used by people, then the first stage is validation. And so you'll have a validated idea already. You'll know roughly what features you want to include on that. The waitlist falls into the second step, which is about distribution. So how do you get people interested in your product before you actually build it? So I've built a really simple, in 2 or 3 prompts here, I've built a really simple mock-up of the app that I'm trying to create, which is called Kibibi, which is an AI mental well-being journaling app. All I've done here is create this. I've told it to do it like a mobile app with an app tray with a few different features on, and in a certain style that I wanted to do, just to get a mock-up of this quickly so that I could create it. We can then just take a screenshot of this like that, and that will save that screenshot, and then I'm going to use that screenshot in Artboard Studio to create the mock-up of my app on a device. So if you go to artboard.studio, you'll be able to sign up for a free account there. You can get some mock-ups for free, and a lot of the phone ones are included for free as well. All you want to do is create a new project here. I'm going to close this starter thing, and then just go to this plus, add items on the top here. I'm going to use this mockup here, so that will give me my mockup on the canvas here. And then what what you want to do is add your image to this down here, and then it will add that to the device mockup. You can actually create device mockups in ChatGPT. I tried doing it for this, but actually if you have a UI that has a lot of text on it, it will sometimes still mess up that text. It's way better at creating images with text now, but it still does get it slightly wrong, and it changes the styling slightly. So if you want it to be really spot on, do it with a tool like this. Another good tool that you can use is a tool called Mannequin, which is basically like a kind of AI powered mock-up creation tool as well. And you can get a bunch of templates here for free as well. So I'm just going to drag and drop in my image, my screenshot of the app, and then I'm going to put it onto this artboard here, resize it so that it fits. And there we've got the mock-up of the app. I'm going to click on this image, and then I'm just going to go export as image. So we're then going to export this mock-up at 2 times. That will download. And then we're going to use that image in our prompt for Lovable to put that on the page when we build it. Quick break in the episode to talk about my community for product builders who actually want to make a profit from what they're building. If you're building a product, whether that be a SaaS tool, a web app, an iOS app, or an Android app, and you actually want to make a profit, then this is the community for you. It's called the Product to Profit Academy. I'll be sharing courses, tutorials, tips, and all of my frameworks that I've learned over the last 15 years of working with startups and advising startups on product and design in my Product to Profit blueprint, so that you can benefit from everything that I've learned when you're building your product. So if you're building something and you actually want to make a profit from it, head over to buildgreatproducts.com/profit to sign up to the waitlist. We're launching soon. Next, I want to create this kind of background gradient that I see here. And so this is quite a nice way that you can do, like, you can build really well designed landing pages. It's just to work from a really good reference. A good way of doing this is you can screenshot a page like this, put it into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to describe the style of that page for you, and then use that style description to then put into Lovable when you're building this. And you can also use that style description when you're creating assets for it as well, whether it's ChatGPT image or it's another AI image creator that you're using. So I'm going to go over to ChatGPT image. I've got this prompt that I've just put in here, which is create a vibrant background, gradient background with purple, blue and yellow, streaking across the middle horizontally and fading to white at the top and the bottom. I want this to be in a 16:9 ratio. And so let's submit that and see what it comes back with. So there we go. We have our image. That is perfect. I'm going to download this so that we've got that to use on our page. So now we have all the assets that we're going to use for the page. We've got the background gradient, we've got the app mockup. I want to create a form, and the best platform that I've found for creating forms that will fit any style of landing page without paying for a plan is a product called Paperform. So just go to Paperform, sign up for a free account. I've created a waitlist test here as well because I wanted to see how this would work. But all you do is you go create form, start from scratch. You can add more complex forms here, but I think for this, all I want to do is I just want to add like an email sign up. That's all it's going to be. It might be useful depending on the app that you're creating to collect more data. So you might want to collect like a job title, but generally I would say for your waitlist to keep the forms fairly short so that it's fairly easy to sign up. You'll find that most SaaS products or apps, when they have a waitlist, will just be an email sign up, and that tends to work best a lot of the time. So let's add a question. I'm going to say like, enter your email, and then that's going to be, I'm going to change that to an email field type, and then I'm going to publish that, and then you can see you can open this and see what your form looks like. So it's a very simple, enter your email in the placeholder, and then submit. Obviously the style of this doesn't look particularly great at the moment, depending on the page that you're designing. So I'm just going to update this to the style that I'm going to use for the page. So I kind of know what fonts I want to use already and what style it's going to be, because I'm trying to match this. So I know really I want to have a rounded button. I don't want to have that background and that border and the box on the outside. So let's go into theme and appearance. And I'm going to remove the background shadow from this box, so it's just the form here. I'm going to change the typography. So let's use DM Sans for all of those. And then for the button, we're going to use DM Sans as well. And I change the button style to round. And then the one last thing that I want to do here, because I know that in this page all of the content is centered, so I also want to make sure that my content on my form is centered as well. So with Paperform you can enable custom CSS, and I've found the classes that you need to do this. So if you're unsure what you want to change, a good way to do this is to inspect the page and just look in the side here. You want to find like these top kind of elements here. So, and then that you'll see like under class, this has got like live field is the class. So that's what I'm going to, so that might be what you want to change for that element. For this, I already know the classes from my other forms. So I've just copied the CSS over from the other form that I created when I was testing this. And it's basically got this live field container and live field section class. And the live field container centers the whole thing, and then the live field, I've added text align center there, and then the live field section, I've just added a max width on here, and because it's already got a max width in the code, I've just added important in the CSS. You don't have to do the custom CSS, but it can be good to just like get it perfect with the page that you're creating, so I've added that there as well. And then once you've done that, just publish that again, and then check that that form's looking good. That's looking good. Alright, so that's the form that I'm going to embed on my page. And then come up here, all you do is you go to share and you go to embed, and then you copy this inline embed code, and then we're going to use this to put back into Lovable here in this prompt. And so now let's actually create the waitlist sign up page in Lovable. And so I've already written my prompt in here for how I want to build this page. If you have watched my how to create a $10,000 website in under an hour video using Lovable, I talk about why it's so important to have a really good first prompt, and we can actually include all of the assets that we've created in this first prompt as well to get it to build the page as close to the final output as we can. Part of the reason you want to do that is because if you're on the free plan, it can save you credits. So you just have one message that you send to it, as instead of lots of edits that you make, you're kind of paying per message on Lovable. So it's a good way of like saving your credits. And the other reason is that generally AI likes to reference the thing that you started with. And so if you start from as good a place as you can, you're going to ensure that all of those edits over time are going to be good as well, or they're going to match that thing that you started with. Sometimes you can do this kind of like piece by piece, but I generally find that like from a design point of view and a layout point of view and a style point of view, you want to kind of give it those guidelines to start off with. So to go through this prompt a little bit, I've just put create a simple waitlist page for an app I'm building called Kibibi. It's an AI mental wellbeing journaling app. On the waitlist page, I want to have a simple logo at the top, which should be Kibibi in the forum font from Google Fonts with tight letter spacing. If you don't know about the logo that you're creating for your product, you can look at my other video of how to create a professional logo with ChatGPT by using image references just to get the first version of your logo of a professional logo. I've got the heading should communicate the transformation that the user will go through by using the app. So I know from best practice, it's really good to talk about like the transformation that you're giving to the user rather than like what your app is. That's a bit more boring. We want to give users an idea of how they're going to transform, what journey they're going to go on with this app in order to increase the conversion for this waitlist on this page. Heading should be in the forum font, Google fonts with tight letter spacing. All other text should be in DM Sans with a regular font weight. So that's what I'm using across the whole rest of this page. That's what I've put on the form that I've created as well. So that's all consistent. Under the heading and value proposition, I want to embed this form. So this is where we're going to put our Paperform embed code. Under the hero, I want to include the app mockup image attached. So let's attach that app mockup image here, which is this one. So we're going to put that in there. We're going to attach that and also use the background gradient image attached as the background of the page. I want it to be vertically centered and I want it to be full width, but I don't want it to repeat. The body background should be white so that the image blends into the page at the top and the bottom. Let me attach my background gradient image that I want to use. Okay, so here we go. We have our landing page that we've created. It's pretty good, like off the bat. There are some things that I do want to change here just to get it to be a bit more close to this. But from a first kind of prompt, this is pretty good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write down all of my amends and I'm going to put it back into Lovable to do as like a batch. And that's another good way of saving your credits in Lovable if you are on the free plan. It's just to write down your amends in a group and get it to do it all in one message. That way as well, it will take a little bit longer to go through those amends, but it does give you a bit more time to go away and work on something else instead of just going back and forth with small little messages over and over again. So I think what I'm actually going to do here, instead of sending the amends over to Lovable, is I'm actually just going to jump over into dev mode and do these a bit manually. So if you're not sure about dev mode, this can be a good way of making quick edits to your page. So I actually to go through my amends that I want to do on this page to get it looking good, I want to move this background down slightly so that this text at the top actually sits on the light colored bit. And you can see here with the placeholder text on the email field, it actually kind of just blends into, you can't really read it. It's not accessible, basically. I want to change this background color to this color, which I thought it was going to be white, but it's actually not white. It's more like a kind of gray beige color. So I'll find out what the hex code of that is and change the background color to that. I also want to increase the size of this image and I want to remove that gradient shadow from that. And I also want to add like a full width black footer here as well, so that this image kind of cuts off against the footer and that will look nicer rather than just having like a white footer and the image kind of floating in the middle of the air. So let's go into dev mode and do some of those. The dev mode should automatically open up on this index.tsx, which is going to be your page HTML, and you should be able to see in here it's mostly going to be using Tailwind, and what you get with Tailwind is you'll get these classes under the divs which basically tell it what to style it. So even if you don't know Tailwind or CSS, you can kind of see from this like, oh, okay, this has tighter tracking on this heading 1, and it has the font forum and the text size is 3XL, so you get a rough idea of like how the styling works under each of the sections. So let's go through and edit these to make this page layout exactly what I want it to be. So first at the top, I'm going to add a little bit more space between the logo and the main content. So that is this margin bottom here where the H1 is. So this I'm going to change to 24. We're going to save those changes, see what that looks like. Much better. So there's a little bit more space there. That's what I wanted to do. I'm going to tighten up the space between this text and this email form here, which is just going to be this margin bottom here. So let's change that to margin bottom 2. So that's much tighter. Let's change the color of the background to match that background image. So that's a little bit more tricky with Tailwind. There is a custom class for that, for adding like a custom color to your background. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in there. And I'm going to change it to the value that is the background color, which is F4, F3, F4. So let's save those changes. There you go. You can see that blends into that background image. Now let's remove the shadow from the image here. So you can see the image is here and it's got shadow XL on that, and also rounded to XL that I want to take off so that it's just the image. So let's remove those classes from that. There we go, perfect. And then I'm going to change the footer to have a black background. So I'm actually going to prompt Lovable to make that change. Let's remove the background color and then just say I want to change the footer to be full width and have a black background. Perfect, that's created that footer style that I wanted. Now I just want to butt that image up against the footer so that it doesn't look like it's being cut off. So that is actually padding on the full container that we need to change to fix that, the padding bottom on the container. So that's this one here, so we'll just remove padding bottom there and that should sort that. There we go, so that's now butting up against the bottom, and then I just want to change the position of this background image, maybe just to align to the bottom instead of to the top, so that that's more like behind this mock-up rather than at the top. So I'm actually just going to ask Lovable to do that because I'm not 100% sure on where that sits in the code. So to change that background gradient, I actually needed to come into the CSS in dev mode here and just change the background values here. So this image still isn't working on the background here, even with trying to change the position of this and fix the styling. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a different image for the background here, and you might need to go back and forth between creating assets here. I think that's totally okay. It would just be based on whatever Lovable comes back with. You may have to tweak things kind of as you go to get that final last bit of polish that you want on this. For some, you may think, okay, this is actually all right, and you can just move ahead with this as your waitlist. But for me, I want to get it perfect here, so I'm going to create a new asset for the background gradient, and I'm going to position it at the bottom, and that will sit behind the mock-up here, and hopefully that will look better so that this waitlist form is clearer and you can read all the text here perfectly fine. So I'm just going to jump over to ChatGPT and ask it to crop this, basically to move that gradient to the bottom and then have it fade to that color at the top. So there we go, we've created the background image, the amended background image in ChatGPT. I'm just going to download that, put that into Lovable, get it to replace the image, and then hopefully we'll have our final landing page here. So now I've got this background gradient looking great. It is 100% viewport height and it is fixed here. So this was just basically asking Lovable to do that to the background. The last thing that I want to do here, just to bring this all together, is I actually think I like the gradient on the page more than I like the gradient on this mockup. So what I've done is I've just gone over to my UI mockup here and I've changed the background gradient of this app mockup to the same one that I was using on the other page. And then I've just put that into Artboard Studio, created a new mockup, and I'm going to tell Lovable to update that app mockup here, and then we're going to have our final version of this page. So there we go. We have our final waitlist landing page here. If I open up the preview of this, you can see. So this is just a simple waitlist landing page, but this looks so much better than 90% of the other landing pages that you're going to see out there. And all it took was just to find that reference that you want to start with, create those assets using a couple of other tools, so ChatGPT image to create the backgrounds and Artboard Studio to create the mockups. We built the mockup for the app UI in Lovable to give people an idea of what this app is going to look like without needing to actually build the app fully. And then we put all of those assets into Lovable to create this waitlist landing page, used Paperform to create the waitlist sign up, and all of those responses will go into Paperform so that you'll see people signing up. And now we have this incredible looking landing page in just about 20 to 25 minutes. It didn't take long, less than half an hour. And now you have this incredibly designed waitlist landing page that you can start collecting waitlist signups straight away. So hopefully there you can see how easy it is to design a professional looking landing page that's going to beat 90% of the other landing page creators out there when it comes to design and actually aligning to your brand and your style for your app. All you need to do is just start from a good reference and then use a couple of other tools like ChatGPT Image and Artboard Studio to create the assets and to create the mockups for you. You can use Lovable to create a prototype of the app that you're going to be designing and building so that you can show that mockup directly on your landing page. And then Paperform allows you to embed the email sign up form, and then Lovable will allow you to build that super quickly, all in under 30 minutes. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want more of my frameworks for free, you can go over to buildgreatproducts.com and sign up to my newsletter. Thank you for watching and see you next time.
Build great products. Build great products.